For the live members here, welcome in. If you're here for the first time, thank you so much. I see you again. And if you are here for the 221st time, thank you so much, Samson. I appreciate you. And I'm looking forward to serving you today. Stick around because I'm going to answer as many as I can. We're going to do it casually. I'm going to put some music in the background. We're just going to chill. And this is just a big episode of Ask Pat. Thanks so much for joining me on the income stream today. Let's have some fun.
This is the income stream to help you achieve your dream, all while we keep it clean. This is the income stream. It's the kind of show where you can come and go, but then you leave inspired with no fee required. The income stream with Pat Flynn.
All right. So is that song in anybody's head like midday? I've heard a couple people say it's become an earworm for them, which I think is really funny. And I'm just remembering when that song was created, and I want to give a big shout out to Mike and Isabella from Music Radio Creative, who helped me take that song that was in my head and hummed to them and turned it into this really cool sort of rock jam. And I apologize in advance if that's stuck in anybody's head. So anyway, appreciate that. Music on top of music. Oh, we're hearing the other music? My bad. I thought we were getting a... Oh, I had the music playing in the background and I turned it down. So anyway, we are good to go. We got the music playing. Let me know, chat, if it's ever too loud or you can't hear it at all. I'm going to adjust that as we go. And today's really easy. All you do is ask questions, and all I do is answer them for you. We're going to probably tell some stories. We're going to probably give you some tips and help you out one way or another. But again, thank you so much for being here today. So if you have a question, all you have to do is type in the word question in all caps, followed by your question, and I'll do my best to answer as many as I can. I can tell you that I'm not going to be able to get to everybody because sometimes the chat goes boom, 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 back and forth, right? But I'm super stoked that you're here today. So remember, question followed by your question. And then if you happen to be a member here, you have a green name or even a blue one if you're an admin. First of all, thank you for that and for supporting the channel. But make sure to use your question emoji that you have access to, and I'll see if I can potentially give you some preference as well. All right. Let's see what it's a good song to have stuck in my head, says Consult the Blind Guy. Thank you for that. In advance is a little bit late, weeks too late. Everything's good now. Thank you so much, Manny. Manny, great job, by the way, on yesterday's website review. If you haven't checked that out yet, we had over 3,500 people watch that, which is pretty cool. So hopefully we can send some more people your way. Manny says, how did you get your first sale? So my very first sale, I remember I put a study guide on my website, greenexamacademy.com. Back then it was called inthelead.com. It was helping people pass an architectural exam called the LEAD exam. And I put it up on my website, just a buy now button from a tool called ejunkie.com. There's a lot better tools now to sell digital products like Samcart or Gumroad. But I took this buy now button, I just popped it on my homepage, and it was at 2 a.m. I put it up there, I went to bed, I woke up at 6 a.m. to get ready for the last few days of work, and because I was getting laid off. And I checked my inbox, and there's nothing there. And then I'm about to head out the door to take the train to go up and go to work, because I'm trying to save some money as much as possible. I check my email, nothing. I get to work, it's 8:30 a.m. I get there on my desk. First thing I do is check my sales, nothing. And I start doubting whether or not I can even make a sale, and if the 2.5 months I put into putting together that product was a complete waste. And then at 8:40 a.m., I get an email that says notification of payment received, and it was from PayPal for $18.18 because it was $19.99 minus fees, right? And it was my first sale. And I was so ecstatic. I essentially was hyperventilating, and I had to go outside. It was in my final days of work anyway, so I was really feeling like senioritis. I wasn't really doing any work at all. And I go outside to take a walk, to just breathe and compress and just consider what had just happened. I go back to my desk. I check my email again, make sure it was real, and I see another sale come in. So 2 within 10 minutes after in the morning, and it made sense. Oh, people are at work now. They want to get this information. I was thinking people would buy it, I don't know, 3 a.m. in the morning. I don't know why. Anyway, that was my first sale back to back like that, and that changed everything. But I started to get doubts and all these other things that come in once you start finding success. You're like, is this real? Is this even legal? Is this something that, maybe is just a flash in the pan? Is this person gonna ask for a refund? All this kind of stuff. So yeah, that was really cool. So that was my first sale. My first dollar was made using AdSense. And I remember that moment too. I even did a little Instagram reel flashback story about that. And that $1.18 just really showed me that this thing was possible too. But that was before I sold my first product. Cool. When did you know that podcasting was a good idea? I knew it was a good idea when I listened to a podcast that literally changed my life. It was called Internet Business Mastery. And forever after listening to a few episodes there that helped me get going in the online space, and I joined their program and got to know the hosts, Jason and Jeremy, I really knew that I wanted to start a podcast myself because it was a podcast that changed my life. And there was a lot of information out there on the web about blogging and internet business. And it was really the podcast that drew me in and helped me out the most. So I always knew I wanted to start a podcast, and that's how I knew podcasting was going to be something that I was going to do in the future. I bought equipment at the end of 2008. I recorded my first little audio clip that I was going to share with everybody, letting people know that my podcast was coming out. And my first episode didn't come out till July of 2010, a year and a half later. Even though I knew podcasting was going to be great, even though I knew it could help people and it would help my business too, I was so scared to get started. And I was just so worried. I had all those objections that people have normally in podcasting. Is this even worth the time? Are people even going to enjoy the show? I don't like the sound of my voice, all those kinds of things. I was met with that too. Question, greetings from UK. How many hacking attempts do you get on your website, and what do you do to protect it? Hundreds a day, honestly. Manny, welcome to Team Flynn. I appreciate you for that, my friend. You're awesome. Hundreds of times a day, literally. A couple things to combat that. We use a WordPress, like it's typically people just trying to log in to my WordPress account, and it's likely just bots that are just trying to use common passwords and stuff. So we use a WordPress tool called Login Attempts. That's the name of the plugin. And we could see, and I don't turn on notifications for that anymore because there's too many. It's really scary when you think about it. So A, make sure you have a great password. And number two, make sure you use that tool. Limit login attempts is what it's called. And you can see just how often people are trying to hack. I was majorly hacked in 2013. I had a DDoS attack, essentially. And that just completely shut down my business for about 2 weeks. And all of my businesses, because they were all on the same server, were affected. Thankfully, I had my podcast to still keep growing, and also my email list to be able to have a conversation with my audience to let them know what was going on. And the email list was really important because I knew that even if I couldn't get my website back, I could set up shop somewhere else. So I always say email list, you got to build your email list, not just to be able to sort of sell more things or get more traffic to your website, but for business insurance, really. And thankfully after that, I hired a person to help me with helping me combat those kinds of attacks too. Let's see. This man's dedication is just wow. Words cannot explain. How did you get this dedication? Thank you, Richard. I mean, really, it was you guys. So high five. And that was started March of this year in terms of dedication to this show. You show up every day. I'm going to show up every day. Plus, I like to gamify a lot of this stuff to keep me motivated too. I'm very, very motivated by gamification. So by gamification, I mean just, okay, we're at episode 80. Let's see if we can get to 100 straight. Oh, we're at 100. Let's see if we can get to 200, 200, 300, 365. Probably going to get to 500. I don't know. I'm not going to be doing this forever every single day, but I'm going to show up and the income stream will continue to live on because I just can't imagine life without it anymore. And I can't imagine not connecting with you. So you guys help me stay motivated more than anything, really. All right. Question from Tinker. Hi from Milwaukee. Go Brewers. How has being on YouTube every day been successful and challenging for you? It's been successful in so many different ways. Not just a little bit of YouTube growth. And I say a little bit because it hasn't actually like gone viral. It hasn't like exploded my channel. I think it's definitely helped position me as an expert. It's helped given me a lot of confidence on a live stream, which has helped play a role when I get on television, like on news channels and stuff, or if I'm on a stage. If something goes sort of haywire while live, I know how to handle it now because that happens all the time here. And those kinds of skills are very important. And of course, the more you do something, the better you get at it. So I feel like I'm exponentially growing in terms of a communicator, a storyteller, a person who's able to engage with people while live, and I'm really grateful about that. And that alone to me is worth it. In terms of challenging, it's definitely, there are days I get up and I'm like, I'm not feeling it right now. But as soon as I hit broadcast and I'm here with you, you make it better for sure. But it's definitely been challenging. Of course, coming up with this many ideas and this many things to talk about has been challenging too. But I like that. I like a challenge. Typically, growth happens when challenge happens, right? And so if I were to start to feel comfortable with it, I'd probably know that I wasn't actually pushing myself. Dawn says, when starting out, do you recommend digital or real products? I found it made a difference when traveling. So if we're talking about selling things online, I think starting out, digital makes the most sense. However, let's backtrack even more. How to sell is a better question. Do we sell our own products or do we sell products that already exist? Because there might be products that are great for people that are physical and or digital. And so whatever makes sense for your audience or this crowd that you're building, with the trust that you've earned, you can make recommendations for products that exist already that people are already buying. And you can just become the middleman or woman behind that. And you can start to make money a little bit sooner. But when it comes to creation of your product, I don't think that we need to start thinking about, well, what kind of product do we create first? I want you to think about what problems are we solving and then come up with a solution that makes sense for those problems. So you might come up with a list of problems. Some of them may require physical product solutions. Some of them may require digital product solutions. And so it's going to be really up to your audience and the people that you want to serve your direction. Not up to us and not up to you. It's going to be up to them. That's where I want you to sort of play. Let's see. Question from Dogs Are Best Friends. Do you think I employ your amped up lessons? Do you think I'll be able to get to 2K a month from podcast and my dog training so I can hit the road as a nomad to visit family by May? So if you employ amped up podcasting and you really sort of go in on it full on, to say that you're going to make that much money, I cannot tell because there's so many more factors beyond just, dollar amounts. There's growth, there's niche, there's those kinds of things. But in most cases, people who are in fact implementing amped up podcasting and getting all the way through from automation, taking themselves out of the production process of their podcast as much as possible, the marketing, growing their show, and the P part is going to be really important to you. That's going to be the profit part. How do we turn this podcast of yours into an email list generator and then your ability to connect with that audience and solve their problems? So it's not impossible for sure, but I cannot guarantee it, obviously. But the roadmap is there, definitely. Manny says, followed you on Instagram recently after I told somebody you were basically my mentor. LOL, thank you for these streams. They've been insanely helpful. Bruh. Thank you. Appreciate you. Boris says, what are some important strategies and lessons that you learned about Apple algorithms? What numbers are needed to begin on the right foot? So if we want to talk about growth with your podcast on Apple, I have a lot of familiarity with that because I actually got involved in the Apple market in 2009. I actually created an iPhone app company. I don't know if many of you know this, but I created an app company that had a strategy of building apps for free and making money through ads within those apps. So like impressions and displays within those apps. And we created a bunch of silly apps because there was just no competition at the time. And we ended up earning over $1 million together with myself and an old high school friend. We since sunset that because we both had bigger projects that were more important and actually, in fact, more impactful to work on. Just our little silly apps. We got inspired by an app called iFart, which had over 1 million downloads in 2 days in Christmas of 2008. And we started a company. Anyway, I'm very familiar with the algorithm, which is very similar on podcasts and apps because, yes, there's SEO, but more importantly, you need to get downloads, subscribers, reviews, and ratings. Those 4 things, if you can pack more of those things in a shorter period of time, you can outrank existing things that have way more downloads and are able to reach people. You're able to reach more people too. It's about the ranking system, right? And so on Apple, you see the top 200 podcasts in each category. And I would make a run to try and get into those rankings, like an event, maybe a contest, giveaway to get more ratings, rankings, subscribers, and downloads in a short time period, as much as possible. So that's kind of where I would focus for sure. All right, we got, let's see. There's a good thought from Manos. Try to change the link of your WordPress login page. That helps a lot. Thank you, Manos. Appreciate you for that one. Let's see, looking for questions. Questions. All right, Aditya, how can I get my momentum back? I have lost it. This is very common. I lose my momentum quite often. So there's a few ways that I recommend and that I actually get my momentum back too. Number one, I always think back to, well, why did I get into this in the first place? Sometimes remember, there's like a honeymoon period or that really exciting period in the beginning. This happens in podcasting, this happens in business, this happens in life. You're really excited about something, and then things start to fade away. In the podcasting space, they call that pod fade, which is interesting. There's literally a name for it. So just know, Aditya, that you are not alone. But remembering and being reminded of why you're doing what you're doing helps you through the grind and that really tough part. It's called The Dip. There's a book, in fact, by a man named Seth Godin called The Dip that talks about just how, you start off strong and then there's this dip. And then typically at the bottom is when something happens and then that inflection point happens. Unfortunately, when people are in the dip, this is often when we give up. We don't believe it's true or possible, or we get discouraged by other people who have gone through that dip already. It's something that we all have to go through, and the dip is longer and shorter for different people, so we have to know that. I am reminded about my why every day because my little ones are running around the house. I'm reminded of my why every day because I'm here connecting with you and I'm doing this for you. And so I can have that direct connection with my why every day. And I would ask you to directly connect with your why every day too, or at least start thinking about this. It's when you start just working for work's sake that we start to get bogged down. And I've seen people burn out because of that and have health issues because of that, and definitely not make progress because of it too. We also can get motivated by focusing on the small little wins. You might have giant goals. You might be you might be like most people, where we set these really big, hairy, audacious goals for specific things, and that's great to do. We want to push ourselves and go big. But the struggle is when we go that big, oftentimes we see how big it is and we get so discouraged by that versus taking this big goal and right, and chopping it up into much smaller goals so that we can then achieve them much easier, get more momentum. Sometimes it just takes one or two small quick wins for you to get that momentum back. Miss Boyce, thank you for being here. Question, what do you mean by superpower? Is it like a unique selling point? For sure. Yes, although a unique selling point is typically, unless you are selling yourself, we're talking about a USP, a unique selling point is typically about the product itself. For example, a unique selling point about Power Up Podcasting, which is my podcasting course, is the fact that it can help you get more listeners. There's a lot of other courses out there that'll help you get your podcast up, but this course's unique selling proposition is you will have listeners on day one. My marketing experience into this course will help you make that happen. That's a unique selling proposition. A superpower of mine is marketing, so that does inject itself into that unique selling proposition, so there's some overlap there. But I think a superpower of mine is empathy, being able to understand how a person might feel, especially at the beginning days of their, in this case, podcasting journey, or in a person's life, starting their own business, those kinds of things. That is a superpower of mine. I know what is going through your head because I was there too. And I will surface that in whatever I'm doing, trying to connect with you so that I can help you understand how to break out of that using my own examples, right? To lead by example. A superpower that one might have would be a specialty in a space, right? So I know a person who's a dog trainer, her specialty is helping train very vicious dogs. So she's able to then go out and ask other podcasters in the dog training space if they have any need for content about training vicious dogs, which they typically don't have that superpower. So essentially it is a unique selling proposition about herself to sell her to come on their show, but it's also a superpower that she has that she can inject into her promotions, into campaigns and whatnot. So they're kind of the same thing too. Aditya says, lovely, that chop was nice, anime. Or we can do the whip. Who whips like this? We want to high five like that. Okay, let's keep going. Question, what podcast do you listen to regularly? I listen to the Model Health Show with Sean Stevenson and the Tesla Daily Podcast with Rob Maurer. Those are the only two I listen to. This is very different. If you asked me 6 years ago, which podcast I listened to, I mean, it would take, a good 15 minutes to list them all because I was subscribed to all of them. I've had a diet in my content consumption, and that has helped me get stronger with having more time, to take action. Let's see. Really enjoying your videos and suggestions. Thank you, BENADO. Appreciate you. Question, how long did it take you to earn a full-time income with your business? Well, a lot of people remember my story about when I got laid off and then I launched this book, right? And in the first month after launching it, I was able to make 2.5 times more than I was making in architecture. But that was the first month after launching my ebook. This was not the first month after getting started. It took about a year to get to that point of 14 to 16 hours a day, literally. After learning I was gonna get laid off, started to pour all my time into what the heck am I gonna do next, learning everything that I could about it. And so a lot of people hear my story and they're like, oh, Pat, you had overnight success. Definitely not. I was spending hours on my website trying to build it and get it optimized and put my notes on there to help myself reach more people and have people find me. I spent 4 or 5 hours a day in forums, communicating with people, positioning myself as an expert to answer people's questions, to then attract people to want to come to my website to learn more. This was a grind. So, 16-hour days every day for like 6 months for sure. Especially because I had very good reasons to do this. I was living with my parents because I moved back home after getting laid off. My fiance, who I literally had just asked to marry me, she moved back with her parents too to save money for our wedding. Like, I was driven. I did not want to marry my fiance and live at home with my parents. So I was like doing things that I normally wouldn't do, staying up later than I normally would to make things happen for sure. BENADO, what, or a few days ago you asked me what my show name was. Wanted to make sure you got it. I don't remember that. I'm sorry. Can you give me a little bit more context, or at least maybe even reveal that again? I can hopefully help you from there. What's up, Nomadables? Great to see you here. Thank you so much for joining us on a Sunday. Do you recommend paid advertising on Facebook to grow the listeners, or is there any other platform for us to grow? Methan, I would definitely not recommend just standard, normal ads on any platform to grow your podcast like you might think, because think about it. A person is on Facebook. They're there to like chat about whatever. And then you, number one, have to interrupt them. So you need some really good ad copy, really good images. Then you have to convince them to stick around and read to a point where they can get convinced to click on something. And then what do they click on? Where are they going? What if they listen to podcasts on Spotify, not Apple Podcasts? Then it might not help you. You're going to be wasting money in that case. Let's say that they do land where you want them to go on maybe Google Podcasts or something because they're an Android user. Great. Now we have to convince them to click and listen and take minutes to understand whether or not that it's worth subscribing to your podcast or not when they weren't doing this in the first place. The only way I would recommend spending money on ads is paying somebody to boost a post that you're featured on, right? You are on their podcast, pay them to boost their post on Facebook so that more of their people find that episode where you're getting endorsed by that person. That's the only way really I would see it. Or you just pay to be on other people's podcasts as an ad, or best case scenario, you just be a guest on another person's show. You get invited on, you get endorsed, people are already open with that app and they can just easily find you from there. Looks like a pack of cool cigarettes on the shelf. We're at right here. That's a bobblehead of me in front of a podium. Thanks, Pat. Excited to take your class. Signed up the other day. Thank you so much for that. Besides coffee, what is your favorite, what is your breakfast of choice? I practice what's called intermittent fasting. This is just me and my opinion for myself, my body, but I'm not giving diet advice here, but I practice what's called intermittent fasting. So typically for 6 or 5 days of the week, I'm not eating breakfast. I'm eating a healthy lunch and then a dinner. And that way I have a period of time where I can potentially get into sort of ketosis and whatnot. But if I have a breakfast, it is either breakfast taco or breakfast burrito. I live in San Diego. That's a huge thing here. Or it might be, or like a really good omelet, like with just a little bit of spice, maybe some pepper jack cheese in there with a whole load of vegetables. Thank you for the super chat, Destiny. Appreciate you for that. Hola, familia. What's up, AV? Good to see you here. Let's see. I love Sunday questions, says Stephanie. I love Sunday questions too. It's my favorite thing. Let's see. Pat, do you know of Seth Godin? His blog over thousands. He does it daily. I do know of Seth Godin. I have not been able to meet him in person yet, although I know that we share a lot of the same circles. He's great. I support him. His book Purple Cow was actually really influential for me, as well as Tribes back in the day. Destiny says, how do you stay organized and how do you plan your work week? It all stems to my calendar. The calendar is everything, and Jess, of course, helping to support me. The biggest advice I can give you that has helped me with staying organized is literally it's learning how to say no to things. Typically we can plan really well, but it's the discipline to stick to that plan. And of course, there are going to be moments where there's just nothing you can do. You have to do things outside of the calendar. But my calendar is the biggest productivity tool that I have, and that's how I stay organized. And then mentally just going, no, get out of here. New thing. I have other things that I already said yes to, and that's kind of where that comes into play. IFBB Pros asking, I'm new to this podcast stuff. Do you think it's better to have a laptop or a regular computer when getting ready to do a show? Honestly, it's either one. I would say don't let the technology stop you. Just get something up and running. I run my podcast. I've run my podcast through an iMac for so long, and then now I run it through my laptop. It doesn't really matter. What matters is, are you connecting with people? Are you recording interviews and or solo shows to position you as an expert and putting it out there into the world? That's really what matters, right? Man, there are just so many questions. I love it. Hey, you know that Optimum is garbage? I did not know that. But I'll remember that the next time I see it on the street. I'll pick it up and throw it in the trash for you. Let's see. Pat Flynn, because we love you, and yes, you know him. For sure. When deciding a name for a new podcast, 3-person podcast, when do you know what name you want to go with? We've talked about this on a show before, where coming up with name for things is one of the hardest things to do, because it feels like a very permanent decision. Just know that it's not a permanent decision, but it does affect a lot of things, obviously. So I would just brainstorm a whole bunch of ideas, and the fact that there's 3 of you, you should all 3 come up with your own ideas separately and then bring them together and then mash them up and just have a fun little party where you're like on a Zoom call, just sharing ideas one by one and just going like, yay, nay, or maybe, and then kind of put them in a pool and maybe try to come up with something from there. No ideas are dumb ideas when you're brainstorming, for sure. So that's kind of where I would go from there. The dip, says Aditya. In your Amped Up podcasting course, it's been great. 2 questions that have come up for me. My keywords in the first sentence of the description are not helping me show up on Apple Podcasts and search. It does not happen right away. It can take months. And again, Apple Podcasts is very, very mysterious. And the fact that there are other people that may be competing for the same term, this is just the best we can do. There's no guarantee that you're going to be found for search. In many cases, being found for search is going to help you best on your website. So being found for search terms, especially long-term or long-tail keywords, in your title and your description on your website is going to help you out more than just on Apple Podcasts itself. But it does take a long time. Even when I know I make the right changes, I've seen things happen over a year. So it's going to take some time, but we need to put these things into place now so we can set ourselves up for a future, of course. And SEO on Apple Podcasts is not the most important thing. It's getting on other people's shows and doing these roundup posts like I teach you in Amped Up Podcasting that's going to help you the most. Grandma Goody says, is this the right workflow for a lead magnet? Create freebie. Landing page with opt-in. Thank you. Email to deliver PDF. Post promotions. Generally speaking, yeah. So let's create this PDF. Let's display it on a landing page so that people know what they're getting into. You really need to sell people into that free thing. Even though it's the free thing, you still need to convince people to offer their email address for it. And then as soon as a person hits their name and email and hits submit, a couple things happen almost simultaneously at that point. So it's not necessarily linear, but they're gonna go to a thank you page number 1 at that point, right? As soon as they hit submit, you want them to go to a custom thank you page. On this thank you page, it'll say, hey, thanks for subscribing. An email is being sent to you right now with your freebie. However, in the meantime, number 1, make sure to whitelist my email address. It's coming from this. Number 2, you can even point them to something else, right? You have their attention. You can say, hey, did you check out the latest episode of Grandma Goody? You could check it out here. Or, hey, have you seen my top 3 episodes of Grandma Goody? Here they are. Share these with your kids or what have you. So the fact that they're there, you might as well, right? Instead of just a dead end. Number 2, at the same time, they're getting that email sent to them. And in that email, if you're using ConvertKit, for example, you can do this thing where if you have double opt-in clicked, that is where a person has to click that they're in fact a human being in order to actually get on your list. That's called a double opt-in, and that's often recommended to make sure you have the cleanest email list possible. You can in fact in ConvertKit have that double opt-in be the same link to go and download your file. So they can actually download it right from that email in ConvertKit and get it right there. But you also will want to send up that follow-up email that says, hey, in case you missed the lead magnet, here it is, plus here's some more information to you. Really connect with that audience, really speak the language. And then, of course, after that, you can point them anywhere, right? And then you can follow up with promotions from there. Okay, let's go here. Question, is a podcast about different subjects and podcast doomed to fail? Does the podcast necessarily need to be in a niche? No, it's not doomed to fail, Rodrigo. I just think that there needs to be something, right? Something where people go, oh gosh, you got to listen to Rodrigo's podcast, because when you listen to it, it's just going to blow people away, right? It just blows people away because he, no matter what topic he talks about, does this. There has to be some hook, something that people can in one sentence say about your show instead of just imagine it's about everything and people go, yeah, well, you know, I'm you know, because I'm in the military, I really love the episodes about military and, you know, combat and stuff, but like I'm not such a fan of like the nutritional stuff myself, so I don't really listen all the time. Or, hey, even though I'm not a fan of nutrition, I just absolutely love Rodrigo's enthusiasm and how he makes these topics that I don't even know I care about so interesting, right? Because he goes so deep into them. There has to be something, right? It's much easier to just pick a topic and go, hey guys, I'm the guy for this. If you are that, then I'm this for you. And let's just connect with each other. You can speak the same language. You can connect on that very, very specific interest. And although you are closing people off, you're actually going to grow faster because you'll have less competition. You'll be able to infiltrate that audience a little bit more and become a go-to favorite much faster. And oftentimes what happens is you can either, number 1, stick with that niche and help them vertically. All right, Suresh, dude, that's not the way to ask a question. I'm sorry. I'm going to have to put you in timeout because if you're spamming questions, dude, number 1, first lesson, you want to be here and be a part of the community, not offer something that you know is going to upset people. So, hey, it's all good. High five. You know, we learn from each other. It's all good here. The fact that we're getting some people to put in timeout is really cool too. Anupam, high five for you too. Just remember, next time, let's not spam. I'm here to help you, and I cannot help you if you're not helping any of us, right? So hopefully that makes sense. Cool. So let's keep going here. What happens is if you are in a niche, for example, you can either help them vertically, which means, okay, now you got them with a podcast, you give them a lead magnet, you got them in an online course, an event, you're doing affiliate marketing like just for that crew, or you start expanding horizontally. So the difference being you go 1 inch wide, 1 mile deep, and then you go 5 miles deep with them, or you go 1 inch wide, 1 mile deep, and then you go 2 inches wide, 1 mile deep, 3 inches wide, 1 mile deep, and then you go for there. Cool. Seldom do I see Pat speak fast today. Elton, it's called the Nectar of the Gods coffee. Let's see. Question from Jeff. What's up, Jeff? Hey, Pat, how do you teach entrepreneurship to Keone and Kalani? What else is missing that you wish someone created? For me, honestly, Jeff, it's just about leading by example and getting them in on my process. The best way to teach somebody is to, do something yourself. So sometimes even if I'm doing something new, I'm in fact involving the kids. They know I'm streaming right now. They don't know what topic necessarily, but they know every morning I come in here and why I come in here, because I sat down with them one day in March and said, hey guys, I'm planning on doing this every single morning and here's why. And now they know why. And I can talk about this with them afterwards. When I'm presenting to, when I used to speak and travel places, like before I would go, I would sit down with them and go, hey guys, guess where I'm going? I'm going to Philadelphia because I'm going to be keynoting podcast movement. What's a keynote, Daddy? Well, let me tell you about that. Okay, cool. What's a podcast? Oh, well, let me tell you about that. And then I can go, well, here's who's going to be in the audience and why I'm being there and why I'm showing up. Hey, did you know I'm actually getting paid for this? Wow, you get paid to speak, Daddy? Yeah, here's how that business model works. Like literally just involving them in a conversation, because guess what? Kids are curious. And I want to take advantage of that right now, because, how often does our curiosity get stunted when we go to school, right? And things like that. So I want to bring that curiosity and surface that and play on that a little bit if possible. Lead by example, right? What is the first book from you I should read as a total beginner? Thank you, Inka. I think that it could be one of two things. All my books are definitely relevant to those who are just starting out for sure. But I think that you could start with either Let Go, which is my sort of inside my head story about what it was like when I got let go. So if you're going through some tough times and you really want some motivation, I would say Let Go would be the book to start with. It's a much shorter read. You and I get to have a relationship built through that book, and you can get to understand sort of what it might take and that it is possible for you to make things happen too. Now, if you're ready to get going, you already know that you're motivated to get started, then I would go with Will It Fly, because that's going to help you understand how important it is to connect with an audience, have conversations with them, because they are going to be the ones to guide you. You're not going to have to guess anymore if you do it that way. And Will It Fly is about validating business and product ideas up front so that you don't have to waste time and money. So those two I would start with. Superfans is my other book, which is great. And if you already have a following of some sort, Superfans would be great, because it can then help you go deeper with them and learn that you don't need to have a blockbuster hit in order to have an amazingly successful business. Cool. As a teen, what possible things can I do to earn money despite this pandemic? I would say, let's flip that question around and say, because of the pandemic, what opportunities may now exist, right? So there's so many things that are changing right now in the world that we could get behind, from, the craze of Pokemon cards right now and Pokemon card investing, to more and more people streaming their games now, to more and more people being stuck at home and considering, that people are stuck at home. They need something. They might need groceries. They might need, people that they can trust to mow their lawns. I mean, there's so many different business ideas that are coming out of the woodwork now because of the pandemic. So that's kind of where I would focus, and I would try to target a specific group of people and see how you might be able to serve them and have conversations with them. It doesn't matter that you're a teen. In fact, the fact that you're a teen means you have less risk, right? So you're able to take bigger, bolder steps without having anything to lose, really. You have so much time on your hands. Use that to your advantage and step out of your comfort zone. And the biggest thing that's going to help you likely is getting these skills of going out there and putting yourself out there and learning about failure and being okay with that. I don't know if you've been conditioned like me at school to think that failure is bad, but failure is actually good. When you put yourself out there, you're giving yourself a chance, and you either get the result you wanted or the lesson that you needed. What are advantages and disadvantages of formal and informal businesses? I'm not necessarily sure what the definition of formal and informal businesses are. I think all businesses are businesses, and it doesn't really matter as long as you are connecting with the audience. And I think maybe by formal you mean it looks very professional, and it looks very sort of like, it's a big company and whatnot. I think there's advantages to, in fact, doing the opposite, which is, hey, let's just be me and let's connect with people who jive with me, right? Your vibe attracts your tribe. So I'm just going to put myself out there. But of course, you can still be a personality and a personal brand and still be professional. So where these lines cross, I'm not necessarily sure. I think perhaps the best thing to consider is for you, just how do you want your brand to be talked about? that is branding, in fact. What people say about you when you're not there. How do you want people to talk about your business with others? And consider that, visualize that, and that can help guide how you want to, and in fact, create your business. How has your experience been being coached by James? Amazing. He just has this really cool outsider perspective on a lot of things. You know, I'm in a lot of circles online, and he brings a different take, which is why I hired him as a coach. I want people who are going to push me in different directions as coaches and mentors. I also love the way that he focuses on his family and his time, and that's really important to me as well. And he just always comes up with the best advice. I love the way he teaches because he uses a lot of analogies, and we as humans, we love to sort of find patterns in things, and he knows and can find patterns in things that I'm working on and can connect it to things that I can definitely relate to. So I just love James to death, and he's great. Jameen says, you mentioned that you were also still interviewing for jobs while starting your online business, correct? Yes. In fact, even in mid-2009, I was still putting my resume out there because I just didn't believe that this is something that I could do long-term, that I wasn't, you know, hey, you have to go to school for this stuff in order to succeed, right? I didn't go to school for business. I went to school for architecture. I don't want my architecture degree to go to waste. Well, I eventually learned that it not necessarily was a waste, but it definitely was a stepping stool toward getting into entrepreneurship, and that, no, you don't need an MBA, although MBAs are great. Manos, you're doing awesome. Not a waste if you apply it correctly, obviously, but you don't need a degree in order to have many degrees of success in whatever it is that you have passion about and are focused on. What are your most important values? Honesty, empathy, leading by example, building relationships first, serving first, owning my outcome, right? I want, if things go wrong, I know that it's, you know, my choice to define how I want to react to that. Those are just a few examples. Family first, always, right? Okay, let's see. Do you have a child's costume of a... Oh, wait, that's not me. That's not for me. I was like, oh, no, I do have a child's costume of a clown or Power Ranger. I don't actually. I have a lot of child costumes here, but not any of those. Let's see. Have you ever considered hosting a kids entrepreneur show on Saturdays or Sundays with those kids' parents joining them as guests? That would be fun and different. You know, April, I've had ideas like this and hundreds of other ideas that I'm really trying not to do right now. I have to focus, and right now my big focus is finishing off the year strong with this webinar course and delivering value to the students that we currently have in the launches that we're doing. I really, really want to create some more YouTube channels. Like, I want to create 4 or 5 different ones and do all these different things, but I know that I'm going to spread myself too thin. I want and have been motivated to create a channel about stocks, specifically EV or electronic vehicle stocks, which are taking off right now, and I have a lot to say, and I've been doing a lot of research about that, and I know it could be helpful, but I also know I'm not helping anybody if I'm going to burn out. I want to start a channel about Pokemon cards. I want to start a channel. I have this idea for a channel that I'm still going to keep secret because it is on my bucket list, and I may launch it next year, but there's a couple things that need to happen first in order for me to do it. But it would be, if I get everything else in place that I want to, a really, really cool side project that I can see blowing up on YouTube, and in fact doing a lot to help inspire people to clean up this world. And I'm really focused on that. But no, I can't. Let's see, do you work out, Pat? Yes. What time of day? Typically in the evening around 8:30 p.m. As soon as the kids are down in bed, I'm working out with a trainer. He lives in Cincinnati, Ohio. His name is Jeff from Total Body Construction. He and I have been working together virtually for about 7 years now. He helped me run my first triathlon. That's how we started working out together. And it's always been virtual. And it's 3 days a week in my garage, which we set up as a gym. And so yes, I do work out for about 30 to 45 minutes with him 3 days a week. And then I sometimes go on runs with the kids, or April runs every day, but she runs on her own. So sometimes I get a run in or a row to sort of between two. Jameen, no, stop. Question, may we know who will be the guest show for the income stream coming in? We have a special guest coming in on Wednesday, and no, it's going to be a secret, but this coming Wednesday, we have a really fun thing to reveal. This is a big deal. I'm really excited to announce this, and you will be the first to know on Wednesday, and we're going to bring in our special guest to help me announce this, and we're going to talk about this topic together. All I can say, what can I give you a clue on? No, I'm not going to give you a clue. No. All right. Whip it. Whip it good. Da, da, da. Okay. Right? Ooh. 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 Whip it. Whip it good. Da, da, da. All right. 8:46. We got about 14. I'm always so just dumbfounded, just absolutely flabbergasted about how quickly these things go. Maybe we'll go for 15 minutes over. I did see a lot of questions come in. I'm having a good time. The kids are taken care of. It's casual Sunday here. I'm going to make them breakfast after this, and then I got to get back to recording. This weekend is a big production weekend for me. I'm putting the final touches. This rarely happens that I do heavy work on the weekend or any work on the weekend other than the income stream. But today I need to finish up some videos for my team in preparation for this launch coming up. So there's going to be a lot of videos recorded today. I'm hoping to get 24 videos recorded, and they're just ScreenFlow videos, so just kind of recording what's on my screen. But again, these things go by so quickly. So let's see. Question from, let's see. Let's see. I actually already answered a few of these. This is great. It's okay to re-ask questions that I missed, but it's not okay to spam, because I'll put the whip down on you. All right, let's see. Surge Gilk. Happy to be here. I have an informational recipes blog. What do you think about creating another blog in a similar niche but not the same, and linking one of them to the other one in the same post? Yeah, I mean, that's been done before. That what you're creating is sort of a network effect within the blogosphere, and this is very common. There's a lot of people who have different sort of sub niches that they really want to go ham on and focus on. But the big question is, I want you to imagine how much additional work that may or may not require. I don't want you to start something new and then be divided. Your energy is divided across each of these platforms, and then you're no longer able to put full time and attention into something and not give it a chance to succeed. If you already have a large audience on this informational blog already, then it may make sense to sort of siphon some of those people and that traffic elsewhere, just to kind of keep that conversation going. Why not a special area on your existing blog versus a completely other new blog? You would be diluting some of your search engine optimization potential there, right? And why not just keep it all on the same page and build more authority? Just not necessarily saying that that's the way to go, but just something to consider, playing devil's advocate for you, to have you think about all the ins and outs of this. It may make sense to have just a specific category or a series or something about that other topic, if in fact it makes sense to do that. But of course, you can also create a new website, and if you have other people to manage it, or you know that you'll be able to have time to keep up with it, then that could work too, and you can have, two great things and have more diversification in your business too that way. So there's no real right or wrong answer, but that could work too. Question from Barry: how do you find guests for your shows? So for my shows in particular, I will either reach out to people who I already know and have access to because I know their story or I've heard about them. They might be a student of mine or a friend, and I reach out to them, and just makes that conversation a lot easier. However, there are moments where I go and reach out to people who I don't have a relationship with. This, in fact, happened very recently, and it took social media for us to connect. And this is actually how I got in front of MKBHD here on Instagram, here on YouTube. Marcus Brownlee, the #1 tech reviewer with, 15 million subscribers now. I had him on my show, and it was through kind of connecting with him on social media and having other people sort of rally behind that and getting access to him in that way. Rob Bauer from Tesla Daily, I was able to connect with him through his YouTube channel, because I noticed that he actually replied to most comments on his stuff, and I replied to his comment on YouTube, and that worked very well for getting in front of him. So Typically, I think about not who I want on my show, but what do I want an episode to be about? And then I backtrack from there to determine, well, what guest would support that. So if I'm doing an episode on, for example, YouTube, I might find a guest who then I know, who first I have a relationship with, or if not, maybe try to get an introduction or get in front of them in some way, and I go from there. But it's always about the topic typically first, or the story, and then backtracking into the guest. All right, question from Boyce. I noticed you don't have social accounts for your podcast. Is there a reason for this? I created accounts for each show. Is this not the right way to build out socials? I prefer, it's not a bad thing to have that, but in my opinion, people don't want to interact with the podcast. And if that's the name of the social, then it's like going to take additional effort to go, oh, this is the person behind the podcast, versus just having people follow me, the person who is the host of each of these podcasts, right? And yes, it does make sense to have potentially an account for each show, especially if people want to just follow and get information about that show. But for me, social is about being social. And I want people to be social with me, not necessarily my podcast, but they'll find my podcast as a result of being sort of somebody who follows me. So not to say that you're doing anything wrong, but I feel like people in chat, you can confirm this for me if you'd like, but people on social media typically want to connect with other people. And when you follow a brand, there's another layer that you have to get through before the person sort of comes across sometimes. David says, I've asked friends what my superpower is. A thread has arisen. My superpower, empathy, is also my biggest hindrance because I absorb a lot of others' baggage. How have you had to deal with this? You can always transfer anything that you receive into something else. And I think that if you happen to notice, and this is really good of you to notice, that your superpower of empathy also includes that kryptonite, then how might you take this kryptonite and reframe it in your mind? So if you carry a lot of baggage from other people and you start to literally feel that, that is something that you can use to drive more energy into helping people understand that you know where they're at. Hey, I get where you're coming from, and I feel your pain. You probably think this, or you probably think that, right? So this is something that I feel can actually be used to your benefit. And so long as you consider your feelings and how perhaps heavy things feel, you can then flip that script in your head and consider that heaviness as now motivation, or now just something that will drive you to help people who are feeling the same feelings too. In response to the earlier question, the show name is It's All About the Tone. I was responding to your video from a few days ago while asking your thoughts on as I am new to this. It's all about the tone. That's cool. I like that. I think that the description of your podcast is going to have a lot to do with whether or not people are going to be interested, but I like the name. It's catchy, it's quick, it's easy to spell, all these kinds of things. So you're checking off the list there. But I would say just keep trying to understand what your audience is going to be best responding to. So it's going to take some time. You're going to have to go through some failures, some trials, some errors, some learning lessons. And then really, if you can connect with your audience and understand, well, what of these things make the most sense to you? What of these things seem to make the most impact for you? I'm here for you. I'm going to do more of what works and less of what doesn't. All right, Adam's exploits. Pat, thoughts on spending small amounts on Facebook advertising to drive traffic to a live stream in order to increase views? Yeah, especially if it's on the same platform, that can work. I've seen that work before, Adam. But if you're advertising on Facebook to go to YouTube, for example, that's not going to work so well because Facebook wants to keep people on Facebook, and you're going to have to spend a load of extra cash in order to make that happen. If you're spending ads to just a post where your live stream exists or an event that's coming up on Facebook itself, for example, then it's going to be a lot cheaper. There's going to be less friction. That can definitely work. I would say only spend money if and only if you know that there's a way that you can track that you can get that money back. For example, if the live stream is sort of like a webinar in a case where you're doing some training, you're getting people to get ready for it, and then at the end you actually have them go into something, either an email list or perhaps even a purchase of some kind, then you can track whether or not you're making an ROI on those ads. And if that makes sense, whether it's short term with a sale or long term with a email marketing campaign and then a sale later on, whether that's actually tracked fully or not, just like trying to understand, hey, have we noticed a bump in sales or a bump in email subscribers from doing these live streams? Cool, let's spend money and see where I might feel comfortable budgeting for that. What is the difference between resource page and review page? Someone told me instead of creating a resource page to only create blog posts with links to the product to solve their pain. I would do both. So Diego, a resource page is a list, a giant list on your website of all the top tools and resources that you found that can help your audience out. And that's you stepping up, doing the work to filter all the noise out there to go, hey guys, of all the things that are out there to help you, in the realm of email marketing, this is the product I recommend. In the realm of hosting, this is the product I recommend. In the realm of productivity, these are the tools I recommend, etc. Right? On that resource page, you can link to individual blog posts. And I would agree, that is great, where you go deep into them. You actually show the insides and the outsides and how you put this to use, how it's helped you. You can link to those specific blog posts on your resource page. And now you have interlinking working on your website too, which is obviously helpful for SEO for those of you who don't know. And then on that review blog post, you go all in on that. And now you have multiple places where people can go and get in front of that and learn more if they want, or just go right in if they need. So hopefully that helps. Yo, we got a super chat from Pshetsky. Thank you so much. Can you give any key recommendations on voice exercises or resources? Because I notice I lose my voice after each podcast session. This is very, very common up front, and this is why I took singing lessons. If you have the ability to take singing lessons, if you feel courageous enough to do that, I would invest in that if you know this is going to be long-term for you. I invested in a 3-month training program, essentially, for singers, and it was a virtual call on Facebook or what is it? FaceTime with a woman named Carrie Ho from the Songbird Tree, Kerriho. She does formal training and things like that. And that really helped me not just learn how to become a better singer, but learn how to breathe better, right? In fact, I would recommend starting on YouTube and finding breathing exercises or voice training exercises. And although they may be for singers, they will help you as a podcaster. Also, just the matter of fact that you are actually podcasting yourself, you're starting to use that muscle that you haven't used like this before. So over time, you're going to get better. I've gotten to a point now where I could speak for 12 hours straight and not have 1 ounce of change in my voice because I know how to use my voice now, not strain it, right? The strain is where you're using those muscles in a way where they're just going to tire out. But if you know where to breathe from your diaphragm and from your even tummy, and you can sort of just coast with your voice instead of force it out there, it's going to help. But voice training, voice exercises, check out YouTube. There's a ton. And then I would just, for a month, try to do 10 to 15 minutes in the morning to prep. Also, like, your voice is a muscle. So if you just kind of are silent all day, you get behind the microphone, you start cranking, you're going to tire out. You've done a sprint without stretching. You need to do some voice exercises or something to just warm yourself up. I like doing things like what's called vocal fry, which is doing things like this. And it sounds very strange, but that will loosen that muscle a little bit. And then I do things like this. And just whatever. I just do those kinds of things. Roger Love has great books on voice training, says Destiny. Cool. Pad Pal. Hey, Pat. Hey, Pad. Pal. Cool. So hopefully that helps. Thank you for the super chat, by the way. Deck the halls with bounds of hall. Pattern interrupt. Drink your favorite beverage. Are you guys playing a game? Very surprised by that, and I like it. I like that a lot. Cool. Let's see, I have a question about, should I use silo structure in my micro niche website? I run a micro niche site with Amazon affiliate site, and it's only for one product. Pressure cooker, says Suresh. Oh, Suresh was spamming earlier. I'm not going to answer that question. You get no love if you give us no love. And I know there's a ton of new questions coming in. I don't know if I'll be able to get to them. We're going to go for an additional... Why am I... Oh, there we go. That was weird. I saw that. Whoa, what's going on? I just noticed that I was slowing down for a little bit. Okay. I think we're good. Maybe because YouTube is streaming in the background too. Anyway, let's keep going. Question, how do you balance serving your own community and then also participate and be part of several others? Seriously, time challenge here. So how do you balance serving your own community and then also participate and be a part of several others? It's all about the calendar. Again, this is how we manage our time. The calendar. Are we still experiencing issues? We should be fine. I get to see when it sort of like slows down, but sometimes I might do this. I think we're okay. So it's about the calendar. So what I do typically, Sue, is if I want to get involved in other communities, like seriously, I'll literally put that in my calendar, like 10 minutes a day during this time, right after lunch. I'm going to go in and participate in this group. And doing that helps me make sure that I do it and also make sure that I don't go down this crazy rabbit hole where I'm spending way too much time because I know I have other things to do, right? So sometimes just showing up regularly is better than just kind of coming in when you can, even if it's for a shorter period of time. You're more able to focus, you're more able to just go, no, nothing else matters right now except this thing, and then we go from there. So that's how I would recommend doing it. This is cool too, because then it'll allow you to go, okay, well, which ones do I want to get involved with? Which communities are going to be important for me and which ones maybe I can say no to? All right. Question from Christos. Hey, Pat, would you suggest that we listen to ourselves while doing a podcast using headphones, or would that be too distracting? It's going to be really up to you. I do not like hearing myself when I'm recording. I absolutely despise it. I like to hear my voice in the way that I normally hear my voice, which is through my ear and the room I'm in. Sometimes I'll have earbuds in, though, and I don't put the monitor on so that I can still hear the other person. It's right in my ear, but I'm just still hearing myself normally. Many people want to have the headphones on because they either A, like that and they just want to make sure, and B, they want to make sure that your levels are good. I always have headphones on right before just to kind of check, and then I take the headphones off and then I record. Some podcasters may argue with me about that, but I absolutely love just at least hearing myself in the normal way, because then I can have a normal conversation. I want these podcast episodes to be like I'm in a coffee shop, and no, I'm not at a coffee shop with headphones on talking to somebody, right? Okay, let's see. How do we be able to learn a better way of fostering effective collaboration? Would think an online resource, but want to ask your opinion first. Hint, secret word today. Oh, thank you, Elton, for making sure I don't get 3 days in a row bad, missing the keyword. But anyway, how do we learn fostering effective collaboration? I think it's just getting involved in communities and building relationships, just like you are right now. And then there are opportunities within these communities to participate in chats. Maybe you're in the Slack channel. Maybe there's a Facebook group. Maybe there's other things that you can do to get involved. And really, honestly, the best way to receive help and find collaboration is to find ways to help others first, right? Go out there and start serving that community. Go out there and start saying, hey, if anybody needs help with this, I got you, let me know. And you can start to be involved in this community in a way that you're serving and will be served back too. And you'll be recognized just like you're recognized here, Elton, asking great questions and all those kinds of things. Question, do you have a book bundle or audiobook for all of them? I don't have a book bundle. I don't. I do not. Let's see. Sherry says, is the business and making money, it's about accounting and taxes and record keeping and all that. So no matter how it's structured, that's part of every business, right? Yeah, I mean, that's important. However, I'm at a point now, and I think many business owners do this sooner than later, is to realize that there's other people who can do a lot of those accounting and finance related things better and faster, and it's worth the money to spend to have somebody sort of take care of that for you, especially once you start generating an income. You know, at the beginning, it might not be required, and you could probably do a lot of that stuff on your own. But finances are key, and even just simple spreadsheets of just money coming in, money going out. I think the most important thing is where are you spending most of your time. That's more important than money, in fact, in terms of allocation, because we want to be focusing on the things that work and can continue to grow our brand versus just feeling busy for busy's sake. James Wedmore. Nope, James Wedmore is not our special guest. Question from Mandy. Any ways you'd recommend to get more people on your live stream? Yeah, I mean, I'm still looking for answers for this. So if you guys have advice, let me know. I think that having topic-specific live streams are really interesting. I've noticed that on the days where there are very specific topics, especially ones related to YouTube, I get a way, way bigger number. I did one the other day about YouTube maintenance, and we had, I think, 700 or 800 people watching simultaneously at one point, which is really amazing because the YouTube algorithm wanted to help people in that way, and that makes sense, right? If you can help more people better their YouTube channel, and of course everybody here is on YouTube anyway, you're gonna attract more people on YouTube to a live stream. So anyway, that just happened. But topic-specific live streams have worked really well because people kind of know, and they're gonna stick around because they know what they're gonna receive. If I can hook people in the beginning, that's good, and then they'll start sending out more impressions. Most of my views for live streams, however, come after the replay. And this is why it's really important when I start the show to not just go, hey guys, welcome in, let's wait like 5 minutes for more people to come in. It's not like that. I just dive right in so people can watch the replay. It also forces you to come in and stick and stay on time, those kinds of things. I think supporting and showing the episode elsewhere. I mentioned it on the podcast and on my blog, on my email list. Introducing it maybe not as a daily show, but the fact that, you know, maybe there's a very topic specific episode that might be relevant to my email list. I'm going to focus on that because I want them to be drawn in, and then they can discover, wow, you do this daily. Wow, that's crazy. And of course, having a really great community helps people stick around too, and asking the community every once in a while for support can help. Bringing in special guests so that they bring in their audiences as well. I need to do that more. Those are just some ideas that are off the top of my head. All right, we got about 8 minutes left, y'all, and I'm gonna head out and make some breakfast for the kiddos after this, and then get back into recording a little bit later. We are gonna be in major cleanup mode today. This is April, and the kids are doing a lot of cleanup while I'm filming, which is kind of cool. And they are gonna be cleaning up because in a couple of days we are getting our new puppy. So it's definitely felt like we have a new baby coming, and April and I were joking. We were like, let's just like pretend, because we haven't seen anybody in a long time, right? And communication with friends and family is just not regular anymore. Nobody would know if we were or were not pregnant during this time. We're not, by the way. But we could say and tease that we have a new edition coming, and make it seem like that, and then it's like, hey, puppy, but it's not. It make it seem like a baby because nobody would know that. That'd be hilarious. Thanks so much for joining us. Glad you're getting a new puppy. We're really, really, really excited about that. What is the difference between affiliate marketing and blogging? Blogging is web logging, creating a log of text, kind of just journal-like entries online to teach, to inspire, to motivate, to get people in on what it is that you're doing. That is a content medium. Affiliate marketing is what you can do with that content medium, which is to generate an income by recommending or promoting other people or other companies' products. You can use your blog to do affiliate marketing, and you can potentially make and monetize your blog in that way. In fact, affiliate marketing is the #1 way that I recommend a person who's just starting out start to make money, because there's already products that exist out there. You don't have to create them. You can, in fact, start selling and recommending them right away. And the cool thing is it's favorable to the company because they don't have to pay you until you get customers. Now, it's going to be slow going at first, but you're going to plant these seeds so that over time that will happen. A Australian mini Labradoodle. Cool. Oh, I'll bring him on the stream for sure. His name is Jarvis, and we've already seen pictures and videos of him. And we're really excited. Jarvis, like from Iron Man. Indeed, that was the inspiration. Aditya, I'm buying the book, The Dip, you mentioned earlier. Thanks, Pat. Yo! Thank you so much for that, Aditya. I appreciate you for the support, and I'm looking forward to seeing how you consider the book. All right. Question, how did you come up with your schedule? Did it get created over time as you got more work, or did you just sit down and set certain days for various activities? Lex, it was sort of a mix of both, right? You have to learn over time what works and make adjustments, but at the same time, you have to start and make decisions, right? So that's what I would recommend. Yo, Mr. Lyron Segev, check him out. He's got an amazing YouTube channel, works over at vidIQ, does some amazing things with them. I've learned a lot from some of his videos. Definitely check him out and follow him. If you give him a chance, he's awesome. And he's got a really cool accent that I absolutely love. So we're talking about schedule. Yeah, it's something that you have to make decisions on. Okay, this day I'm doing this, or this is what my days are gonna look like. But you can't be married to that. You have to learn to adjust and adapt. That's what the key is for entrepreneurship, is to learn how to adjust and to adapt, which means you have to consider checking in with yourself so that you're not just like running on autopilot, but it's almost like a ready, fire, aim approach. Get ready, boom, you go, and then you kind of readjust your aim after that. Well, that looked kind of cool on the stream. You know I can do this. Anyway, that's not of value to you. I apologize. Question: I'm setting podcast download goals and wondering if you can offer some insights from your experience with podcasts or download numbers. What's considered a success? 200, 500, 1,000, 2,000? It's not a number. It's not a number. I think it's a number based on where you're at now for sure, but I can't tell you what that number is because I know there are podcasts with millions of downloads who are struggling because they have no way to connect with their audience, and they're just, you know, they're not monetizing well. They haven't really defined who they are. They got a lot of downloads, but they're not doing anything. It's like, I remember a story about a woman who had, 2 million Instagram subscribers, and she couldn't even sell 30 t-shirts, and she was very upset about that, but obviously she didn't have a connection with her audience. On the flip side, I know there are people with less than 100 followers on Instagram who could probably sell 150 shirts because their fans or their people want to support them and want to buy shirts for their friends and family too. So it's not necessarily a number game. I would definitely say it's a percentage growth game. That's what I'd recommend. So depending on where you're at now, that's your baseline. How can we grow, and what number might seem reasonable to grow from there? But it's not, I wouldn't say thousands is successful when, let's say, for example, you infiltrate a small audience and you become their absolute go-to resource and they listen to every show, and it's just 100 of them. That could be successful, right? So I'm not necessarily sure it's a numbers type thing, but it's a trend type thing, right? We want to trend upward, if that makes sense. Cool. Steve says, I agree. Using your own personal name on social is way more easier to manage things. Plus, they connect with you and then connect with the business or the business you run. Nice. All right, just a few more questions here. Let's see. Sing from the diaphragm. Drink water. Yes. So we're talking about voice endurance, and that's really key, especially if you are somebody online talking a lot. Everyone needs to read Superfans. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I'm going to scroll down and highlight that because that makes me really happy. Thank you so much. High five, my friend. Appreciate you for that. So, as we finish up here, I just want to say, you are amazing. I appreciate you so much for being here today, spending overtime with me today, and I'm looking forward to spending time with you tomorrow. We're likely going to talk about YouTube tomorrow because I've been diving into a lot of YouTube stuff. So get ready for that. And we're going to go deep. Probably a video similar to like 5 things you need to know to succeed on YouTube. And I'm definitely not, a master at this, but I've learned a lot over time. I'm pulling in a lot of information, like from Roberto Blake, Sean, Lyron, everybody here. But yeah, that's going to be fun. So anyway, more coming tomorrow. Team Flynn, thank you so much for coming in. My mind is just absolutely blown every single day. You come in and just ask these amazing questions. I love that we were able to stream, thanks to Harris Heller from Twitch and YouTube, stream beats, courtesy of Harris Heller, free, royalty-free music that we could stream in the background. We've done him quite a lot of justice today with how many things we listened to. I think we listened to, 20, 25 plus stuff from him today in the background. So that was really cool. Big thanks to everybody here, and have a great Sunday. I'm going to go hang out with the fam a little bit before I deep dive into some course-related videos that I'm going to be recording today. But anyway, tomorrow we are going to show up, I believe, at 8, I think. Let's see. I think it's the same time as today. So let me verify that. Sorry, I'm on the wrong email. It's going to be 8 a.m. Pacific, 8 a.m. Pacific. So same time as today. Cool? Cool. Awesome. Tuesday will be interesting because on Tuesday I have a keynote for Podcast Movement. But I think that we'll still be able to make it work. It'll likely be like 8:30 or something. But tomorrow, 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern. Everybody, thank you so much for coming in today. Jason, is this for mental health? I think any great community for support is for mental health. But this is a community for people who want to build a business, who want to improve their lives. So yeah, I guess we could say so. So Jason and everybody else who's here for the first time, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I appreciate you for coming in. We had a lot of, I don't know how many questions we answered today, probably around 35 to 40 questions. Hopefully those were helpful. Hopefully you've had some fun joining the community today, being a part of the conversation. We did get the secret word in today, which is cool. We only have a few more days left with it, about 6 more days. So looking forward to connecting with those of you in the community chat, for those of you who are members, to help me come up with a new secret word, and let's make it interesting. So anyway, take care. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and that bell notification icon. We did it, everybody. We did it. Take care. And as always, Team Flynn for the win.
This is the income stream to help you achieve your dream, all while we keep it clean. This is the income stream. It's the kind of show where you can come and go, but then you leave inspired with no fee required. The income stream with Pat Flynn.
Hey y'all. Thanks again. You make me so happy. I hope that you were able to come in and smile once or twice here and get some good info so that we can start the day off well or end it, depending on the part of the world that you're at. But again, I'm just super grateful for you. Thank you so much. And as always, peace out.
Bruh.